What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for November 5th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. It is election day. It's also time for a little positivity / motivation. And honestly, we're going to talk about voting today. And honestly, go out and vote. It is the most important thing you can do as an American citizen. Quite frankly, I don't care who you vote for, who you support, but your vote does matter. So get out there and vote and be educated. And this is something that I think doesn't matter what side you're on. Do your research. Just don't go in there blindly and vote. I see it all the time. You talk to people and they're like, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, and blah, 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 blah. And that's who I'm voting for. And then you talk to them and what they believe and what their values are don't align to who they're voting for. So go be educated, do some research. I did something back when I was teaching 16 years ago. It was when I was in North Philly, and it was the first Obama election. I believe it was against, I forget whether it was McCain or Romney. I think it was McCain he ran against. May have been Romney, either way. And obviously, if I did a mock election, I knew who all of the eighth graders would have voted for. Makes sense. It wouldn't have been a good teachable moment. So what I did was I asked them things that were important to them, their core values and policies and whatever, because they're eighth graders and they were soon to be in high school and they had some very strong opinions one way or the other. So I made a list and then I did the research for them. And then I broke it down. I forget what I called them, either candidate A, candidate B, or whatever it was, and just outlined what their candidate stood for those policies that they picked. A couple of the smarter ones did the research on their own, which to me as a teacher, that was the ultimate goal. But they voted for Obama because that's who they wanted to vote for. But they did the research on it, so at least I got that. But the ones that didn't do the research, many of them were pissed off and surprised that they voted for the other candidate. And to me, it was a perfect teachable moment. And I feel so many of us do that. Do your research. Know who you're voting for. But pick whatever is important to you and vote for the candidate that best represents that. You might be surprised because, like I said, I talk to so many people that are like, I'm a Republican, and then they start spitting out this, that, and the other. And yeah, that's what you believe, but that's more in line with Democrats or vice versa. And it just infuriates me that people go out there and make decisions based on either their, and I feel in the past couple elections, it's been their dislike for specific candidates. And you can't do that. That's not the way it's supposed to work. You're supposed to vote for the person that represents what you believe in. So go out there today and make educated decisions. And honestly, vote the entire ballot. Do your research because, quite frankly, a lot of the stuff that happens locally and at a state level is going to have far more impact on you than who wins the presidency. So vote in your, whether it's for city council, township controller, township board, whatever you have, vote for those people. Those are the ones that are going to impact your day-to-day life more than what whoever wins the presidency will. So be sure to vote in those local elections. And like I said, just do the research and be smart when you're out there. Because much like your fantasy football team, honestly, nobody cares who you vote for. Just like I don't care if you lost your fantasy football game by 1 point or this guy got hurt, just as much as you don't care about mine. So don't be stupid. We don't need fights. We don't need violence. We don't need this. Because at the end of the day, nobody cares who you voted for. That is your decision. That is your thing. So be smart out there in more ways than one. Do your research. Don't be dumb. Don't be an idiot and start fights over candidates because, quite honestly, sports aren't even that bad. Like, I'm friends with Cowboys fans. I'm friends with Giants fans. I'm friends with Commanders fans. We can all be friends no matter who we vote for or what we believe. So just be smart. But I urge you to go out and vote, but make smart, educated votes. Do your research prior, and don't forget about the local elections because, quite honestly, they're going to have a far greater impact on your life than who becomes president or not. because those are the things that are specific to your community. So just go out, be smart, and be responsible, and be a good citizen. And like I said, just be informed and educated. That is all I ask for you on this election day. And there's one thing I think we can all agree on, and that is Dallas sucks. I'm Jim Montgomery, and I approve that message. All right, let's get some housekeeping. Follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont at Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont, Twitter, or Jimbo_Mont. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, spread the word, because if you're enjoying this, likely someone in your circle will too. And again, that's something we can all agree on. And I apologize if my voice is a little off today. I woke up with a very sore throat. Hopefully it's just allergies. Fingers crossed. But spread the word, and let's continue to outsmart the algorithm. The Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame Heritage Collection is now available online. That's the project I've been working on. The link is in the description. It'll take you right to the website and get you set up in the online archives. Then go to Philly Goat. They have, of course they do, they have Saquon Barkley shirts. So if you want to celebrate Saquon's big game against the Jags, Philly Goat's got you covered. I've been telling you about the backpack coolers that they've teamed up with Varsity Coolers on. So go to Philly Goat, get some early Christmas shopping done, and use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. Then be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Lots of good things going on over there. The college episodes will start kicking off this week, so stay tuned for that. It should be a lot of fun. College basketball kicked off yesterday. Everybody in the Big Ten or Big Five won. I won a nice little money line parlay on that. I was too nervous to take the spreads on that, but basketball is underway. Clashing Conferences, be sure to check them out. That is available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. All right, so let's get into the Eagles, kind of put the bow on Jacksonville, and then kind of look ahead to Dallas. Let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, who was the GOAT of the game? 71% of you said it was Saquon Barkley. No arguments whatsoever for me on that one. He had a monster game, and it seems like he's won 3 or 4 of these already this year. Then Jalen was second, and then Nakobe Dean did get a few votes. All right, today is the trade deadline. Will the Eagles be active? I'm not sure. I'm not even sure which way they're going to go. Bryce Huff didn't get a lot of snaps, so could he be a possible trade bait for the Eagles? We'll see. 4 o'clock today is the trade deadline. And like I said, let's put a bow on Jacksonville here with some final thoughts. The Sirianni thing, I think hopefully that will get better. And I know a lot of folks more people came out in support of Sirianni than what I anticipated and expected yesterday. I just think you got to be smart and play with more, or coach with more situational awareness there. You could have just put that team out and you let it go, but we'll see. Hopefully he does not become a liability moving forward this season, but this has been a story for a lot of the games this year, so let's hope that he can get it together and just be more situationally aware. Jalen, 4 straight games now without a turnover. He did come close on Sunday, but he's been playing well lately, so hopefully that builds some confidence. And I did see someone on Twitter ask yesterday, do you feel better about the Eagles today than you did a year ago? And I think so. I think they're trending in the right direction, and I think that last year I feel like it was a lot of smoke and mirrors to get to where they were at 10-1. This year, I feel as though they could be better. They certainly could be worse, depending on breaks this way or that way go differently. But I do feel better because I feel like they're playing at a better level than what they were last year. So I thought that was worth mentioning as I saw that this morning. Lane Johnson got called for a false start. That almost never happens. I know there was a lot of talk a few years ago about him moving early and kind of stepping off the ball, but it was kind of weird to see him get called for a false start. I did a double take. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell just continue to impress. DeJean seems to just have a nose for the ball. He seems to be, when big plays happen or big plays are needed, he's there. And Quinyon, I mean, already, for the most part, has been a shutdown corner. I'm anxious to see if he can continue as the competition, but he's played some of the best in the league this year and has shut them down. I don't know. CD Lamb is questionable, so I would love to see him match up against CD Lamb on Sunday and see how that goes. We got some good news on the A.J. Brown front. No major damage. He's day-to-day. He still has a shot to play on Sunday, so we'll see what happens. And then looking ahead, it is Cowboys week. Cowboys will be without Dak Prescott, so that kind of takes some luster off of it. I don't know if Micah Parsons is going to play. CeeDee Lamb is questionable with a forearm injury. I don't know if that's good or bad that Dak's not playing. Seems like Cooper Rush could be the kind of quarterback that comes in here and surprises the Eagles, but we'll see. But that leads to today's question of the day. And this has been trending this way for at least a year or two now. But has the luster been lost in the Eagles-Cowboys rivalry? I feel like there's ebbs and flows always in this rivalry going back to when the Cowboys first came in and then kind of was dormant there for a while until Buddy Ryan, kind of carried through the 90s and then into Andy Reid. But it's just kind of like one of those things right now. It's like, it's Cowboys week. It's a division game, but it's just doesn't have the same juice. So my question to you, has the Eagles-Cowboys rivalry lost its luster? They're not on Sunday Night Football at all this year. So the NFL sees it. 267-495-8531. That's a Back to the Future voice and text line. But let me know your thoughts on the Eagles-Cowboy rivalry. Are you still jacked up for the Cowboys rivalry? I personally feel as though I was more jacked up for the Giants so far this year. But maybe it's in one of those lull periods of the rivalry. But let me know your thoughts. Has it lost its luster? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get anything else Phillies sports related off of your chest. We do have some Phillies news. Free agency opened yesterday at 5. Lots of talk about whether they're going to spend big money. And we'll see. I don't know. As long as Soto doesn't go to the Mets, I'm okay with the Phillies not getting him. But, man, if you got to spend money to keep him from going to the Mets, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But the big story for the Phillies yesterday was Dick Allen was one of 8 players named to the Hall of Fame Classic Baseball Era Committee ballot. He needs to get 75% or 6 of the 8 votes in order to be inducted. So committee, do the right thing. Put Dick Allen in. He's arguably the best player that doesn't have a PED scandal associated with him, not in the Hall of Fame. So do the right thing. Put Dick Allen in. It's a shame he won't be alive to see it, but come on, do the right thing. I have the Dick Allen autograph over my shoulder next to the Eagles mask, one of the greatest in Phillies history and very deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. So committee, do the right thing. I think that vote is early December, so we'll keep you posted on that as it comes about. Sixers lost a close one in Phoenix, 118-116. Did not stay up, full disclosure here. Didn't catch any of this game, but they led by 5 late with like 2 minutes or so left and then couldn't hit a shot. Same story as it's been all season, not being able to get shots when they needed it. Paul George did play, struggled a bit. You could tell he had been off. I think he had like 15 points, but the team did look more coherent and fluid with him on the floor. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come, especially since we'll probably find out later this week how many games Joel is going to be suspended for. They are in L.A. Paul George's homecoming tomorrow. No word yet on whether Joe's going to play or not. At this point, I don't know if you just keep him out until after the suspension news comes out. But again, they are a train wreck. All right, Flyers news. Samuel Harrison is out at least a week. They're in Carolina tonight. I'm not sure who's going to get the start in goal. Hopefully it is just a week and not longer. But we'll know more on that as hopefully the week progresses for the Flyers. But a tough matchup tonight in Carolina against our old pal, Rod Brindamore. All right, today we are going to go back to 2005. And on this day in 2005, it was the end of an era for the Eagles. On this day, they suspended T.O. for conduct detrimental to the team, and he never did come back to play for the Eagles. This suspension came on the heels of him ripping the Eagles for not celebrating his 100th career touchdown, which in his defense, he was only the sixth player at the time to ever do so. But this situation has been bubbling since training camp. He wanted a new contract, wanted Donovan to stick up for him, and just never happened. He was critical of Donovan McNabb earlier that week on an ESPN interview, saying we'd be undefeated if we had Brett Favre. And then he kind of backtracked a little bit, said it was because that Donovan was injured. The team wanted him to publicly apologize and make sure to apologize to Donovan. He read a prepared apology statement and conveniently left off the McNabb part, and that is ultimately was the final straw for the Eagles. They suspended him, never came back, and the beef, like I said, it all stemmed from him feeling Donovan didn't have his back. If you remember, they started that season with them not talking. But man, what could have been if the egos of both of these guys could have just learned to coexist. But on this day in 2005, the Eagles suspended Terrell Owens for conduct detrimental to the team, and he just never came back to play for the Eagles. And it's a shame because, man, when he was there, they were phenomenal. I will mention, too, on this day in 1933, the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Cincinnati Reds 6-0. It was the Eagles' first win in franchise history. Since then, they've won 629 more, including last week's win against the Jags. But the Eagles got their first win on this day in 1933. Finally, today, our 2024 Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction spotlight is on Ryan Howard. And the big piece was such a vital part of that 2007 to 2011 Phillies run. Spent 13 years total in Philly. Won the 2005 Rookie of the Year. The MVP in 2006. Also won the Home Run Derby that year. Made the All-Star team 3 times. Led the majors in homers twice, including 58 in 2006, which is the Phillies team record. Led the majors in RBI 3 times with 140 or a high of 149 in 2006. Hit 40 homers 4 times, 100 RBIs 6 times. His all-time Phillies ranks, he's second in homers and intentional walks, third in RBI and sacked flies, fourth in extra base hits, fifth in total bases, seventh in walks and slugging percentage, 10th in doubles. And the crazy, scary part to think about Ryan Howard is he could have had 2 to 3 more productive seasons in his prime, but he was playing behind Jim Thome, who was the big free agent signing that the Phils used to open up Citizens Bank Park. So just imagine if he had those extra 2 years, what his numbers could have been. Likely would have gotten the 500 home runs, would have had an outside shot at breaking Mike Schmidt's team record, 548. But at one point in his career, he was on a Hall of Fame historic pace that was only Babe Ruth had. So that's just how good Ryan Howard was in his prime. Unfortunately, he was never the same after the Achilles injury, after the 2011 season. And it's a shame because he was a nice guy. Just one of the most phenomenal pure power hitters to ever play the game. His swing was so sweet. And man, if that injury never happened, who knows what could have been. He did win the 2008 World Championship. And all of the stuff I said to me does not tell the entire story for Ryan Howard. There was a narrative out there at one point that he was not clutch. He struck out too much. And this, that, and the third. And Here's his postseason numbers: 259, 8 homers, 33 RBI in 46 games. Not great, but not bad by any stretch of the imagination. But he had 286 with 3 homers and 6 RBIs in the '08 World Series, which the Phillies won. He was the MVP of the 2009 NLCS. He hit 333, 2 homers, 8 RBIs with a double and a triple. Game 4, probably the most iconic to me Ryan Howard moment, was when the Phillies were down and he said, "Just get me to the plate, boys." And got him to the plate. He hit a 2-run double, then scored the game-winning run. And I've said this, I will go to my grave saying this: Ryan Howard is the most underrated, underappreciated athlete in Philly sports. But on November 7th, he gets his due as one of the greatest to ever play in the city of Philadelphia when he's inducted into the 2024 Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction class. I say it all the time. Him and Donovan, very underrated, very underappreciated in Philly for whatever reason. But Ryan Howard is today's 2024 Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction spotlight, and he will get inducted on November 7th along with his teammate Chase Utley. Looking forward to it on Thursday night down at Live Casino. But Ryan Howard, the big piece, is today's inductee spotlight. On this day in 1933, Eagles got their first ever franchise win. And then in 2005, they suspended T.O., the end of an era. It only lasted a season and a half, but when him and Donovan were clicking, there was few combos, I think, that they could have put up historic Hall of Fame type numbers, won multiple Super Bowls if they could have just let their egos coexist. I support Donovan by all means, but I feel like all he had to do, even if you didn't believe it, I've said this, just say, pay the man. Pay T.O. his money. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to go to Andy Reid and say you need to pay him. Just publicly say it, and that would have kept T.O. happy, and who knows what could have been. We'll have more on the Eagles-Cowboys as the week progresses, but has that rivalry lost its luster? 267-495-8531. That is the question of the day. What will Howie do by the trade deadline today at 4? Will we get any Phillies hot stove news as free agency is open? Who knows? But most importantly today, go out and vote. Be educated. Be smart. Don't be an idiot. But make sure you're going out and voting. To me, it's the most fundamental thing you can do as an American citizen is go out and vote. And like I said, we're all never going to agree on everything. But as I leave you today, go vote. We can all agree that Dallas sucks. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for November 5th, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery, and I approve this message.